my channel. Today I'm so happy to bring you another tutorial. This tutorial is going to show you how to use head pins to make stitch markers. Are you ready? Let's get started. Welcome to my channel. I just want to get started on this tutorial with you. For those who are just joining me, this is a tutorial on how to make stitch markers with head pins. Now, first off, I want to show you that there's different kinds of head pins you can use. We have the 2-inch ones, which are these ones here, and then we have these ones, which are about 1.5 inch. Now, head pins come in two different ways for the most part. I mean, you could get some fancy ones, but this one here, this is what we call an eye pin, and it's an eye pin because it's got that little hole in the middle there. And then this one here is called a ball pin, or a ball head pin. And for obvious reasons, it's got the little ball there. And then we have ones like this, where it's just kind of flat. It kind of looks like a nail. So sometimes you'll find ones that are a bit crooked. You can just easily take them and kind of straighten them out with your fingers. Now, head pins, and the package won't always tell you, but head pins come in different gauge wires. Now, just to give you a quick information about wires and gauges, wires comes in different gauges. The bigger the number, the thinner the wire. So you can have an 18 gauge wire, but it's going to be a thicker wire than a 24 gauge wire. It seems kind of opposite in logic, but that is how it is. So sometimes you can find head pins that where it tells you what gauge the wire is, and that's always a helpful tool. But unfortunately, not all head pin packaging tells you what gauge the wire is. But typically, any head pin that you would find in a craft store like Hobby Lobby or Michael's or something will generally work for making stitch markers. So when you want to make stitch markers, you just simply take your head pin. I like to use these ones the best. These ones are my favorite. And I have some beads here. Now, I'm just trying to show you more the technique, because making stitch markers is just something that is really a creative process and specific to you. So I'm not going to say go get these exact beads or what have you. I'm just going to give you the basis and an idea on how to add beads and such to these head pins. And head pin is a general term, but they have different types of head pins, as I explained. So with something like this, you just simply, you get your beads together, you decide how you want them to look, and it's very simple. You just take it and you slide it right on. Now, just to let you know, some beads, you want to pay close attention to how big the hole is in the bead, because some beads have holes that are bigger than the stop point on the head pin. The stop point would be the ball or the eye or this little flat part that kind of looks like a nail. That stops the bead from sliding and falling off the head pin. So you would just take your bead and slide it on like that. And then, you know, add whatever beads you want. I'm going to add this. And then maybe add one more. And you're going to always add something like this to make it look like this. You can leave it like this. Or I have things here, what they call spacer beads. Let's bring these in closer. So this is a really common one. This is flat. It's got the rhinestones all the way around it. You can get these in different colors, like rainbow colors, silver, gold. I've seen in pink. They're very pretty and very sparkly, and they really add a nice touch to your beads. And then I have this one here just for example. This is kind of flat, but it's gold. It's got some filigree on it. There are endless possibilities when it comes to spacer beads, but it's just a really nice embellishment to add to your beads to really just give it that nice little kick. And then, you know, I have these little square ones here. These are pretty small, but they do add a beautiful touch to your beadwork and your stitches, stitch markers. So I'm going to take my head pin. You know, you could do it this way. You could put on a bead. Where's that hole? There it is. And you know, here's an example. You could take this spacer bead because it kind of has this dip on either side of it. So you could take the spacer bead and put it on like that. And then maybe add a smaller bead. Look how nice that looks. And then a lot of times you can get a string of beads that come with like these little 6mm beads. Or you could just take this off and maybe add a little touch of gold. You could take this off and add the gold and use that in between your beads. Like this. I mean, honestly, this is why I don't tell you go get these beads or go get those beads, because the possibilities for making stitch markers are absolutely endless. Endless. So I also have these beads. These beads kind of have a really nice color to them. I showed these off in a haul video. These are just so, God, I just love beads so much. I mean, you get a really close look at them and you can see all the little fine details and colors, and it's just, beads are so gorgeous and they make me so happy. Anyway, so you can get your beads on. And once you got your beads on, ooh, that's so pretty. So this is an example. Once you got your beads on, however you want to do them, you're going to take these pliers here. These are flathead pliers. They usually come in a jewelry kit. And that's why I suggested in my first video just to go and get a jewelry making kit, because they usually come with at least one of these, flat nose pliers, round nose pliers, and then wire cutters. So you're going to take your flathead pliers. You're going to bring it, about maybe a 1/4 of an inch, maybe a 1/3 of an inch above your bead. Like this. Because you want to have room to twist and turn. And you're going to take it and you're going to bend it directly to the side at a 90-degree angle. And it's going to take some practice. Even though I've been making stitch markers for quite a few months now, it's going to take practice. So you want your bead to be at an angle like this, directly to the side, as though it's pointing to something. And then you're going to take your wire cutters, because you're not going to need this whole bit here. You're going to want to cut it off to a certain point. So you're going to take your wire cutters. Now, the thing about the wire cutters is you don't want to, I'm left-handed, so kind of reverse this for right-handers. You don't want to cut using this part here that dips in. You want to turn it, or in a right-hander's case, turn it like this and make sure you're cutting on this side. So as a left-hander, I'm going to take it and I'm going to leave enough room, about, what is that, about 1/2 inch? And I'm going to cut it. And you want to make sure you're cutting straight up and down. You want this to be a flush cut. Okay. And this might take a little practice too, but I'm very sure that you're going to get the hang of it. So you're going to want to cut a flush cut. Make sure you have it exactly as you want it. Now, the thing about cutting these is sometimes they torpedo off after you cut them. So what I do is I turn it to the side as soon as I get it exactly in the position I want it, and I point it facing down like this. And that way, see how it kind of flies off? Some of them fly off pretty well, and you don't want that going in your eye or anything. Now, I hold this so that I'm pushing the beads down on my finger onto the base here. And then I'm kind of holding it in my hand like this. Now, this is going to take some practice because even I can't get it right a lot of times. And you want to take your pliers, your round nose pliers, okay, about to here, because this is going to determine the size of your hole. Where you place it on this is going to determine how big the hole is. And you want to take it and put it on the very edge. You want to try to avoid making sure there's no part of the wire sticking out on the side here. And you want to take it, make sure it's straight up and down like this. You don't want to be like this or, anything. You want to make sure that it's straight in a way so that when you go to curve it, to twist it over, that it's straight up and down. Now, I'm going to warn you right now that when you first start doing this, you're going to bend your wire. Unless you're just very, very good, you're going to bend your wire. I even do it sometimes too. So anyway, you're going to take it, and I make sure this is straight with my finger, and I have my wrist like this, okay, because I'm going to do a round turn, and I don't want my turn to stop in mid-turn. So you're going to take it, and very carefully, you're going to twist it like this. And then you're going to open your things, keeping it in the same position. You're going to twist over, and you're going to grab the back of it like this. You see how you already got a little bit of a turn on there? Oh, if I can show it right. Okay, so you kind of got that going like that, right? So you're going to take this, and you would just do it with one motion. You bring it forward, open your pliers, keeping it in the same position, twist, grab it again, and then twist again. And here's the thing. It's going to be a little crooked. Just simply take it and twist it back. And then you're going to see how you got that nice little hole? Well, you want this to be a little more up and down. It kind of looks like it's sagging over a little bit. Just take this, slip it in right here. Right here. You don't want to put it in up here on the top. You want to bring it to this part here. And just take it and give it a little turn. And then if it gets a little crooked, just bring it back. And look. You have a pin. Now let me tell you something. You want to make sure that this part here that's meeting, this top part that's meeting and coming together with this part here, this part, okay, let me get one of these. So this part here that you've twisted over right here, you want this part to be connected to the part right here. Right here. You don't want a gap in this part here, because when you go to put in a jump ring, you don't want the jump ring to fall through this part here. So make sure this here is connected to this part as close as possible. And then what I do is I turn it and try and look at its side. See how it's kind of lopped over like that? You just take your pliers and twist it back until it's in the perfect position. Sometimes you could just take these and slip this in there to just kind of flatten and straighten it out better. And make sure it's straight up and down as much as you could possibly get it. Oh, that is perfect. That is perfect. Look at that. It's connected. It's straight up and down. If you look at it from the side, it's great. And that is basically how you do that. Now you could take a jump ring, open it up, slide it in here, this whole part here. Just slide it right in there. And add your, You know what? I forgot to bring jump rings with me. I forgot to bring jump rings. Just when I think I got everything. And yes, this is a little bit fidgety, and you are going to, oh, there's something else too. That's something I wanted to bring up. Now, some of this wire, if you manipulate it and bend it too many times, as you just saw, I'm glad that happened. As you just saw, it broke right off. There is my eye parts. So you want to try and get it so that you could just kind of do it in one motion. I wonder if I can. So I'm just going to use the rest of this part. And I'm going to show you again, but a little faster. This is not easy to do behind a camera. I'm used to just looking directly down. So I moved it to a 90-degree angle. I'm going to take my wire cutters, get it to where I want it on here. Probably about, I don't know, half an inch. Cut it straight up and down because you want it to be flush. Line it up in your needle nose pliers. Try and make sure it's up and down. See, I have my wrist like this. We're going to, sometimes it'll click right off. Twist. Oh, see? It's not the easiest, but once you get the hang of it, it can become easy for you. Twist. Bring it back. Twist again. I notice this is kind of crooked. It's leaning over. That's like something I have a hard time with, is that lean over. Bring it back like this. See, this is very fidgety. I'm like, oh, I can't. Okay. So I'm bringing it down at the base there. I'm bending it like that. And you know, sometimes a head pin will break if you just simply have cheap head pins. Oh, see, that one broke too. I don't like these head pins so much. Let's use a different one. Oh, that's for something else I wanted to show you. So I'm just going to use this eye pin, for example. Now with an eye pin, if you have a charm or some other beads that you want, you can add a jump ring to this and connect a charm or some other beads to this end. Okay, that's what this eye pin is for. So you can connect a jump ring to this. So, okay, so I'm going to see, I want you guys to see that sometimes this here is a thicker gauge, so I'm going to have to hold on tighter to it to get it to manipulate and twist over. So I'm just going to add some beads to this. I'm going to take my flat nose pliers. See, I have some space in between the bead because when I turn it, I want it to be at a 90-degree angle, and I don't want to hit the bead in the process. So I'm going to take it, have that little space there, turn it to a 90-degree angle like that. I'm going to take my wire cutters, get it to where I want it. Make sure it's straight up and down, that it's flush. I'm squeezing exactly how I want it. Now I'm going to turn and just give it one quick cut. Then I'm going to try and line it up. Make sure there's not wire sticking out on this end, because otherwise you'll get more of a teardrop shape than a round shape. Okay. And hopefully I can hang on to it well enough. And I'm going to grip it pretty good. And I'm going to twist, open it up, pivot, and twist again. And yeah, it will kind of fall over like that. They're not going to be perfect. And this one probably won't be perfect. It's very weird to do this. Usually I'm like leaning right over it and I'm able to just do it. But I have a camera sitting here and I'm kind of working around a camera. So, okay, so I'm going to take this. You notice there's still a space in here. So I want to make sure that these completely connect together. Otherwise, your jump ring is going to fall off. I'm just going to try and twist it. Okay, so that turned out not so good. But this video is more about technique than results. Hopefully it'll get you some good results. And no, mine don't generally turn out like this. But like I said, I'm just really trying to... That is weird how that turns like that. Let me see if I can get it to... It's a little better. Anyway, you kind of get the idea. You can take this on this side and kind of push it in if it'll help. There. Well, it's definitely not perfect. And it's leaning over, so I'm going to take this and kind of twist it back up. And I'm just going to take these and I am going to flatten this out. See if I can kind of get everything to close up together and straighten out a little bit better. Okay, is that better? That is better. So you see it's straight up and down. And see that gap there? Oh, no, there's not a gap. Actually, that is fully connected. And there you go. You have an eye pin. You just connect the jump ring to this, slide it in there. Put your whatever clasp you want on, and then close up your jump ring, and you'll have a dangly stitch marker. Now, if you want to make your own eye pins or head eye pins, okay, so this is eye pins, not ball pins like this. This is to make an eye pin. If you don't want to buy eye pins and you just want to buy some wire and make your own eye pins, it's really much simpler sometimes. So you want to make sure your wire is as straight as you can get it. Okay. This here, what I'm using is 20 gauge wire. So it's kind of like that middle wire. It's not super light, but it's not so heavy that you have a hard time manipulating it. Okay, so you're going to go about, so just to let you know, this is about, I'm going to say 2.5 inches long. You want to go in at the top about an inch down, so about that much, and you want to turn it to a 90-degree angle like this. Okay, so this is not a head pin. This is helping you to create a head pin if you want to make your own. Okay, and this wire that I'm using right now is 20 gauge wire. So you could take it. I probably went over too much, but that's okay. So now that you have your wire at a 90-degree angle, go ahead and slide it on in between your needle nose pliers. Again, make sure that the wire is, you can run your finger over it and make sure that you don't feel the rough edge of the plier or the wire. I'm sorry. And then you're going to take it. I have my wrist kind of twisted like this. I have it upside, I have it straight up and down. So that when I twist it straight up and down, you want to get a firm grip on this with your hand and with the pliers. And then you want to just give it, whoop, see how that comes out? Give it a twist, roll it. And this will happen. Sometimes it just doesn't want to stay in the pliers. And just roll it, pivot, and roll it. See, that was so much easier for me. And there, it's the pivot and roll, and then you could just kind of go in and turn it a little bit. And there you go. And I'm just going to take my pliers and kind of flatten it. That's a pretty nice head pin. Look at that. I did something right in the look at that. And it's still by no means perfect. But you see how it's nice and round? It's nice and round. Now let me show you what happens if you have parts of the pin sticking out of your pliers, okay? So let's say you got your wire in there, and you can see and you can feel there is part of that wire sticking through the pliers, okay? And some, you know, some will say, oh, you shouldn't have the teardrop shape. Actually, sometimes I think it's kind of nice to have that teardrop shape instead of this perfectly round shape here. So let's say you have part of that wire sticking out, and you go to turn it, roll, pivot, roll, and you're going to adjust it. It's the pivot and roll technique. Okay, so this is perfect example. Yay! It worked out the way I wanted. Okay, so you see how it's more of that kind of teardrop shape? And see how this is more of that round shape. So there's the round. There's the teardrop. Frankly, I don't see a problem with either one, to be honest with you. I don't see, let me see if I can get this to turn. We can see it at both ends at the same time. But you see how one's more round and one has a more teardrop shape, round and teardrop? Okay, so when you're making your own head pins, I would use 20 gauge wire. Just practice the technique that I showed you in this video. And guess what? You're going to have fun. And that is my video for today. I know that some of it might have been a little hard to see. It's so weird sitting behind my camera trying to work around it, you know. But this is just so much fun, and you're going to get the hang of it. It does take a little bit of dexterity and practice, but once you do get the hang of it, you are going to make gorgeous stitch markers. And just to let you know, in my next tutorial, we'll be making actual stitch markers with this, and I'll show you if you didn't understand what I meant about the jump rings and putting them through here and putting them through your connector. I will show more of that in my next tutorial. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. If you've made it to the end of this video, like and subscribe. Please share this video with others. And we'll see you next time. Bye.